Hello everyone and welcome back to another video with FPL Without Borders. This time we are previewing Gameweek 32, which is just a few days away. With me we have Puneet, and Ahsan is not here with us in this video, so we'll try to do our best to cover for him also. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, just a quick roundup of how Gameweek 31 went. Green arrows for all three of us. Even though I think the safety score was around 49 to 50, and I think 38 for Puneet. So Puneet did very well, no doubt. And there were some overall disappointments. We can see the popular assets, Isak, Sar, uh, and Salah, Saka, they all blanked, but still, I think it was a pretty decent game week. So I think it's good we have this momentum going into double game week 32 and double game week 33. So let's just go into that straight away. Okay, so this is just a rough agenda of what topics we'll cover in game week 32 today. We'll just touch upon the matchups for this game week, including the matchups of Newcastle and Palace, who double in this game week. We'll also touch upon the upcoming double game weeks and blank game weeks, so that maybe those who have their chips left, they can strategize accordingly. A special segment in this video is some of the burning questions we identified, and we hope that once we discuss them, many things will become easier, because there are a lot of strategies that are flying around. There are a lot of dilemmas. So we'll try our best to answer those as we go along. We'll touch upon some gaming 32 stats that will hopefully solve some of your benching slash transfer dilemmas. As always, we'll touch upon our Eagle's Eye segment, that we try to identify those punts, those differentials that hopefully get you those extra points. And we'll conclude our video with our team selection and our potential transfers for game week 32. So Puneet, if you can just walk us through some of our agendas for this game week, please.
Yeah, I think we can begin with the game week 32 matchup. So we can start looking at that first. Um, so primarily two important teams to target, obviously Crystal Palace and Newcastle, because both of them are having double game weeks this week, and then Palace have double game week next as well. Clearly, you should by now should have sort of at least two, if not three players from both the teams.
Yeah.
And something to note is the fact that Newcastle are playing both their games at home, one against Manchester United, one against Crystal Palace. And Newcastle now have a very strong probability of going in as the fifth Champions League team from England after yesterday's results.
Yes. Yeah.
It's possible that they can be the fifth. Even if they come fifth, they can be the Champions League team. So expect Newcastle to be extremely motivated. They would want to finish fifth because like um, City are sixth. So that means everyone would want now to like the teams between Forest, Chelsea, Newcastle, City, and even an outside chance to Brighton will be targeting that fifth spot, and Villa obviously. So
Yeah.
to me, those are the main important fixtures. Your
And
team
one
Chelsea
thing,
is playing against Ipswich, so yeah, please
yeah,
feel free
so
to share.
it should be a easy three-pointer. And one thing to note also, Puneet, when you're talking about Newcastle, is that they are currently fifth, but they have a game in hand.
Correct.
So yeah, so if they win their match, I think they're easily fourth. So Chelsea will drop down to fifth, and then City, obviously, they'll. So a lot to play for, and like you said, that Newcastle would want to go out all in. So I think it's good that we have minimum two Newcastle and Palace assets.
Any other fixture? I think apart from Chelsea, Ipswich, and I know Southampton are playing Villa as well, but
Yeah.
any any other fixture that you would want to target?
I think with the current squad and the players I have, I would have to forego the fixtures such as Brighton, Leicester, even
Yeah.
Southampton, Villa, which we will discuss as to why. Because there's pretty much a template going around, and I think if you want to play safe, you want to protect your rank. So I think it's pretty straightforward that you stick to the template. So yeah, at this point they are pretty. The Chelsea Ipswich fixture that you spoke about, it on any other day it would have been a mouth-watering fixture. Maybe Palmer even captaincy shout. But the fact that other teams are doubling, Chelsea do not double. So I highly doubt that people would be double up or even triple up of Chelsea. I think Palmer has been sold by approximately 1.5 to 2 million managers, maybe more up until the game week, because the logical switch was Palmer to Saka. But I have still kept him as a differential because he is now a differential. So I'm hoping that he does, gets a big haul against Ipswich so that I can try and be a little more aggressive. But yeah, I think the straightforward fixture would be to target the Newcastle and Palace assets and have some decent cover for your other premiums such as Saka and Salah and Palmer and whatnot.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, so hence, you've made a very good point, and we'll discuss that in the next slide. Is the fixtures. Like everyone is now
Yeah,
thinking not for 32, but 32, 33, 34, and like at least
exactly.
two or three fixtures together. So yeah, please take us through if you would like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the 32, which is the targeted video, you have your obvious Crystal Palace and Newcastle doubles, and you have your other single game week fixtures, which we spoke about. The dilemma, which we'll discuss later, is whether you bench boost or triple captain in 32, and vice versa, do you bench boost or triple captain in gaming 33. So we'll discuss that in later on. But double gaming 33, you have Palace, City, Villa, and Arsenal doubling. So Crystal Palace actually have back-to-back doubles. So triple up is essential, and you would want to have nailed assets like Munoz, Eze, Sar, Mateta. You and because you would not want your three or two players in a back-to-back double being benched. So I think those who
Correct.
wildcarded in 30 or 31, they would have definitely kept this in mind to target the nail assets. And then in game week 34, you have your double where Palace, City, Villa, Arsenal all blank. So I think the ideal scenario would be that you use your free hit here and target fixtures such as Wolves playing Leicester at home. I think Cunha will be back and he'll be a popular pick because he's
Yeah.
fully rested. And you have the likes of Fulham playing Southampton and Newcastle playing Ipswich. So another triple up on Newcastle, definitely. Whether you are free hitting or not, if you already have three Newcastle players, you can easily field all three of them in free hit 34. After that,
Right.
game week 36, 37, obviously, as the game weeks go by, we'll have more further announcements. And hopefully, those with their wild card or three or four or five transfers can definitely look to target these double game weeks as well. So games
Uh,
coming thick and fast. Uh, Less time to strategize and more time for action, hopefully.
yeah, you made a great point actually, and I want our viewers to I focus on that because if especially if you are free hitting in 34, like well most of us are at least from the folks that I know, and even if
Yeah.
you aren't, in both cases there is one thing common. You have to start targeting teams for apart from 34. So if you aren't, then hey, focus on 34 so that you have enough players. But if you aren't, start focusing your team now onwards for 36 and 37 because 36 is
Hmm.
another double game week coming up. So right now you would have already sort of set up your team for 33. That means you have to start now focusing on hey, is there a like you can see there is a likelihood for Bournemouth doubling, City doubling. Start thinking about hey, how can I put those fixtures? So yeah, that's a very important point that you raised.
Yes.
And let's come to the most
Yeah.
important discussion of this week,
Yes.
the
So I
double
think.
game week 32
Yeah.
burning questions.
So I think yeah, Puneet, you can start on this because I think when we were discussing, you had some pretty great points. So I think you would love to touch upon them here.
Correct. So essentially, and thank you, Essen, for creating this, like the thought process.
Yeah.
Essentially, there are two thought processes everyone is having, right now. Either you triple captain in 32 and bench boost in 33. And again, we are only talking from 32 to 34 horizon.
Yeah.
There is obviously another horizon of where you can triple captain in 36, but we don't know that. Like we don't know if
Exactly. It's not
36
confirmed.
is confirmed.
Yeah.
So till that confirmation comes, this is something that you have to sit down and note for yourself, which is either you triple captain in 32 and bench boost in 33, or you triple captain in 33 and bench boost in 32. So these are two options. So you've tried to wait for you, and this is how your team sort of looks like. So the main option that you have in triple captainship in 32 is definitely Isaac. And like we've discussed during the start of the pod, the reason we consider him to be most important is because Newcastle is now going to target the fourth and the fifth slot, and they're going to
Yeah,
go
for sure.
absolutely full in into that. Number one is that. Number two is the fact that Newcastle are playing both games at home. One against Manchester United, one
Yes,
against Palace.
Paris.
Both
Yeah,
of them, both of them don't have like Palace have had good form, but United don't have a good form, so there's something to
yeah.
target.
They look very toothless in attack.
Correct. Do you want to talk about Murphy and Mateta as differentials? Yes, sir.
Yeah, basically the safe pick, like you said, is Isak. His effective ownership will be high, sky high. And after the match, Eddie Howe confirmed that that Isak is 100% fit, and he'll probably be rotated less. So obviously, if you're using your triple captaincy, then I think the minutes concern is out of the question. Murphy and Mateta are differentials because obviously not many would go for them, and some don't even have Mateta. Like people, those who use their wildcard, they did get Murphy, or probably after his haul last night, they would probably get him. But Mateta is still a differential because people have Isaac, they may have even Nilsson, they may have JP because Brighton has a good fixture. So those who don't have Mateta obviously might get him in, but those who do, they can act as a Mateta can act as a differential captain. If you saw the match or even the highlights of the Palace's game this last game week, he was the focal point, even though he got subbed off around the 70-minute mark. But that was just mainly down to managing his minutes after the injury because they play 4 times in 2 game weeks. But even like 60, 70 minutes is enough for Mateta to do damage. So yeah, if you're chasing rank, then Murphy Mateta can be differentials. But if you want to hold your rank and play safe and just go with the crowd, then Isak is a safe bet.
Yeah, great point on chasing. And I think you have
Yeah,
sown the seed for me to think about Murphy. I'm not sure Mateta because Mateta has two away fixtures, but yeah, like because I'm chasing, I think there is
yeah.
definitely some scope for
And
doing that.
uh, 2 points on this just for you and maybe someone else if he's thinking of Murphy. If you saw the game last night, I was watching the game last night. Both the goals that Murphy scored, they were actually from the positions, or at least one goal that Murphy scored, the rebound from the shot of Fabien Scher. That's actually the position of a striker. You would want your striker to be in the 6 yard box to get the rebound, but Murphy was more willing to be in that box as opposed to Isak. And similarly, the tap in that Barnes scored, that was also from around 6 to 8 yards out, where you would normally find your striker. So you can say that Murphy is a differential choice. And secondly, Murphy's competition on the right wing is Willock, as opposed to Gordon and Barnes operating on the left wing. So Murphy's minutes are also like more safe. He's just like if you remember last season, Almiron's purple patch. He was playing as the right wing. He kept on scoring game in game. So Murphy's going through the same thing. But yeah, he's been more consistent. So if you want a differential, I think Murphy is not a bad shout at all.
It's a great perspective, man.
Yeah.
And anyone who's looking to go differential from now to the next 4 5 game weeks, this is something.
Yeah, yeah,
This
for sure, no
piece
doubt.
of
Because he's
content
still
is
very, very low owned, and he's around 5.5 million. So not even heavy on the budget.
that's correct, yeah. And great shout out, great shout out, yes. And I think if
Yeah,
people are
yeah, for
looking
sure.
to come out of this game week and gain like 200 300K, please
Definitely.
look into that, yeah. Okay, the next option that you have is to do triple captain 33. Now, obviously not the more famous or something that more chosen option
Mm,
currently. And the reason is this, right? Because in triple captain 33, one is you're waiting till we recommend waiting till the UCL game week gets over, which means the next game is getting over next Tuesday or Wednesday, and hence the likes of Saka, your Mamush, your Mateta, your Rashfords. Rashford is starting today, so he's been pivotal in Aston Villa's form. So quite likely he plays again in the next game week, PSG. So it's going to be a tough fixture. Same for Saka. I know they've won against Madrid 3-0, but they would want to play the
yeah.
full team. So you have to see how they come out of those fixtures and then take a call on those two. Saka is definitely a good game, and we can and we can go back and look into the fixture again, because if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
see
for
here,
sure. I think they play Ipswich and Palace,
Ipswich
Arsenal.
and Palace, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. So Ipswich
So
is a fixture where you will think that, yeah, you can target. So that is hence, if you don't think of playing the triple captain this week, double game week 33 is definitely an option for you, and Arsenal are definitely an option for you because they have Palace and Ipswich. See, you have to target the bottom three, and if we do come to that, people have hence taken Saka already in their team when they wild carded on 31st. So if you feel that
yes.
there is merit uh, in waiting, and you feel that United and Palace are weaker or sorry, stronger for Newcastle compared to Ipswich and Palace for Saka, then you there is definitely an option or to target Saka here. How about the differential options, SN? What are you thinking about in differentials for 32 for
Yeah,
33?
I
Sorry,
think
triple captain.
with Mamouche, you have the minutes, so that's not an issue. Obviously, Haaland is out. He becomes the focal point of the team, and probably he might be on penalties as well. So those who are a bit doubtful with Saka regarding his minutes or his injury record, because I think in the Madrid game also he was subbed off. Either that's due to the minutes being managed or because he's currently yellow flagged in FPL. If you just check the app, he's currently yellow flagged. But obviously that's a precaution. So you can go with Marmoush, you can go with Mateta, you can go with Rashford. The best thing about using a triple captain 33 is that by the time the deadline comes, you will know that after UCL, is the team actually through or not. For example, if Arsenal do get through, then Saka's minutes again gets doubtful because his minutes will be managed, and he's come back off a 3 month layoff of a hamstring issue. And
Yep.
all these matches, like every manager treats them as finals, like every match in the Premier League, every match in the UCL. So his minutes do become tougher. For example, he might play the whole match against Palace, but he might not feature against Ipswich because their UCL spot is pretty much guaranteed. Second and third is pretty much guaranteed. It just has to interchange between Forest and Arsenal. So league is not really a big issue for them. Mateta, again, like we discussed in 32, same thing applies here. And Rashford also, as he's starting today, he might not start in the league against Southampton because in their last match, Marlin started up front. So his minutes are a differential. But if we know if Villa are going through or not, or have they been knocked out, then you could probably go and captain Rashford because he is an out of player position. He's a midfielder playing as a false nine.
Perfect. That it
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Like there is an option to go triple captain 33, and our recommendation is to choose an Arsenal asset, and if you feel Saka is better, you
yeah,
can go ahead. Let's move to the one of the chips that people are using,
yeah.
and that is the
Yes.
assistant manager, Howe Glasner. We'll deep dive into that a little more later in terms of the odds
Mm-hmm.
uh, and options that you have. But from assistant manager, I think these two are your main options, and I think the other
Yes.
one is the Brighton manager, which is who's in terms of the managerial perspective that you're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
as and that someone could look into. Obviously, we'll deep dive into and look at the stats later, but anyone else that you feel should be looked into,
Yeah, I think that if you are
especially for
playing,
table bonus.
yeah, I think the best strategy for AM, I was discussing it with a few friends also, was to activate your AM in 31. So you could probably get 31, 32, 33. You would get five fixtures in 3 game weeks. And if you went with Howe or Glasner in 31, you would not need to make another transfer. So you would actually save a
True.
transfer and maybe in 33 go to the likes of Guardiola or Arteta, depending on if you want a safe pick or an aggressive pick. If if someone is activating the AM now, Glasner would be the pick for the table bonus, and Howe would just be the safe pick. I remember in Gaming 24 when we were discussing this, Slot was the safe pick and Moyes was the
Yeah,
risky pick. So this is just pretty much the same. But as you said, later on we'll do a deep dive in terms of the odds and the spread of points, which I think you raised very well. So I think it'll help those who are using the AM to make a very informed decision because transfers are very valuable right now. Each transfer is valuable because after every game week we are getting an update of the next game week. So every transfer you make is very important, especially if you are avoiding taking a -4, because -4 at
Makes
this
sense.
point is just more important as it was as opposed to maybe 5 or 10 game weeks ago.
Yep. Makes sense, yeah. And especially since you are not, and you make a very good point. -4 right now is more important because you won't have that many game weeks to cover. So
Exactly, exactly.
planning right now, like, and like getting in, especially if you are playing an assistant manager, Howe Glasner is an important call for you. Your third asset would be a Howe, third asset being a Glasner. Plan it accordingly so
Good
that you
point.
can use
Yeah.
it now, 33. So instead of, because you won't get the time to recover these players because you're going to change, and you would want your transfers to buy players or target players from 34, 35, and 36, 37. So, okay, another set of questions.
Hmm.
Like we mentioned, that we are going to focus on a lot of the burning questions in this pod, is obviously the captain and vice captaincy. We have discussed this, and Essen made some great points for choosing in Murphy. He's almost 50% convinced me to take him. Um, but apart from Isak, Mateta, and Murphy, do you feel there are other options, Essen, to look at? Like, is there a SAR? Is there a Eze? I have Eze, and I'm genuinely thinking if I were to go between Palace and there's like Eze and Sar, I think there is a slight tilt happening between Eze and Sar, and I think Eze is still a very good option to go
Yeah.
differential.
uh, since you don't have Mateta, like I'm just specifically
Yeah,
talking about you, since you don't have Mateta, so it just makes things a bit easier. And honestly, in between Eze and Sar, I would choose Eze easily, because
correct.
I just feel that he's the person that makes the team tick. Uh, he does the defensive work. He is on set pieces. He's on free. He drives the team. You can see that at almost every attack, he's like at the heart of it. So
Yeah,
I would obviously, if you are going for a differential, or if anyone is going for a differential, then Eze is a very strong pick. But I think this is just one of those game weeks where you can just play it safe and
correct.
juggle between Murphy and Isaac, because you've seen how the home support at Newcastle is. They are on a crazy bounce after winning their domestic trophy, and the home support
Yeah,
would just want their team to finish the season on a high. They were very, very convincing against Leicester. So I think the captaincy should go between Isaac and Murphy.
yeah, that's actually a good point because what happens is during the last few game weeks of Premier League, I mean, you need people to have some sort of motivation, and Palace are 11, so I don't see at around
Mm.
43. So the best they can get is an 8, where they're 5 points
Yeah.
behind Fulham or Brighton. I don't see them coming there. But vis say if you are a Newcastle player, you have a lot of motivation to finish in the top five, like by hook or crook, and your competition is very strong because you have Villa, you have City, you have Forest who are
Yes.
competing. So definitely, I mean, great point that choosing between
Hmm.
a Palace and a Newcastle, I think it makes sense to choose Newcastle.
And I think on this point only that you said that they're playing for UCL, it's very important, I think, for them to get UCL, so they may be able to make sure that their prize assets such as Isak, Gimarais, Tonali, they all stay, because UCL is,
Correct.
everyone wants to play Champions League. So it does, for those players who are wanting to leave, knowing that Newcastle is playing Champions League next season would definitely make them think twice or thrice before opting to move to another club. So that most motivation is there, especially on the manager and on the fans. And on those home games, the fans do act as the 12th player. So I think backing Isak and Murphy is definitely the right call for this game week.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And last, and one of the more important questions, because everyone has a team now who you will bench. So like for example, you saw Arslan's team; he had a lot of points on the bench. I had Guardiola on the bench,
Yeah.
and this is happening. Always happens when you take a wild card and then you move towards a
Yeah,
bench
because
boost.
your team is perfect and you have to just take a
Correct.
gamble. I'll tell you one thing, Puneet. I was discussing
Yeah.
with Arslan only when I did my wildcard. He said he actually pushed me to play Murphy over Sar, because I wanted to play Marmoush, and at that point we were sure that Saka would start. Obviously, had we known he was an easy benching, but he actually pushed me to play Murphy over Saar, and that proved to be like the best decision because Saar had
Oh
to,
my
and then
God,
Murphy
yeah.
actually pulled in a mega haul. So yeah, I think it's obviously there's a lot of luck involved, but we just try our best to put like some decent thought process behind why or who is in your starting 11 and why is someone on your bench.
Great point. So hence, like in case of especially Villa and Arsenal, like SN has mentioned, like apart from the fact that there is luck and people will choose certain players, wait for UCL. Like try to make the luck come at a stage where it's like a last minute or a 99 to 100%. Because till now you see, let's take case an example of Villa. You can see that Rashford has started, Rogers has started, um, Asensio has not started, so Asensio is on the bench. So that means he's quite likely to start 32 against Southampton. So things like these might come and become helpful. So just use those decisions to improve your luck.
And I think, Puneet, on this point, we can just trace back to our previous burning question about your bench boost. I think
Yeah,
that given the fact that popular assets, Villa assets, have started this game week, have started the UCL match. So the likes of Konsa have started, Rogers has started, Rashford has started. So if you were thinking of bench boosting, and if you wildcarded in 30 and 31, you would have Villa assets. So it
correct.
makes sense to just play those Villa assets. For example, I have Martinez. Arsalan had Martinez and Konsa, but knowing Konsa has started the UCL game, Arsalan would probably want to bench him. So those Villa assets, Arsenal assets like Saka also, if you have them in your team, and if you and I think they're easy benching decisions, then you might not use bench boost in 32. You can just opt to use your triple captain on Isak or Murphy instead, and you can choose to do your bench boost in 33 when you know that minutes are more guaranteed. You may have more information regarding match fitness, regarding any injury concerns, so that this does play a little doubt in the mind of someone who is wishing to use their bench boost and triple captain. But I think the safe pick would be out of these two strategies to just use your triple captain in 32 and use your bench boost in 33, where you can probably have 12 double gimmick players like you mentioned.
Brilliant. I think that's the summary of how
Yeah.
you strategize and how you think. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. On that, I mean, I want to call that if you are liking liking our content and these kind of thought processes, because like SN mentioned as well, and Arslan also, who we keep creating these pods. The thought it's just to make your life easier, to help you with your
Yeah.
decisions, and some of them help. So please do like, share, and
Yes.
subscribe. It helps
Yes,
us
please.
keep motivated. It helps us keep creating this for you, and obviously, uh, we hope to make your lives easier and give you a lot of green ranks.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Let's move to an important discussion now. The teams to target. And SN, I think it's pretty clear with Newcastle and
Yeah.
Palace, but you can see like a very important uh, point that we were discussing, right? Like Chelsea have Ipswich, Brighton have Leicester, and they have more goals predicted to be scored than a Palace.
Hmm.
So that's how it's going to be. Like I think you have to sort of see how
Yeah.
many Palace assets you have and take a call.
Because Puneet, like you said, that Chelsea with one game has 2.55 total goals, but Crystal Palace with two games has only 2.2. So
Exactly.
had this game week come probably 10 or 12 game weeks ago, you would have easily banked on being like double on Brighton, triple on Brighton. But just
Correct.
because Newcastle and Palace have double game weeks back to back, etc., you just have to forego those single game week fixtures and hope that the faith you put in those assets actually repay you back. Like you would obviously want Palace to score more than two goals in those two game weeks, and you would want
Yeah.
maybe other popular assets that you do not own to blank, just so that the effective ownership doesn't cancel out your rank.
And just so that, and because you're making this point, you see, like if you get a Chelsea, like if you have Palmer right now, obviously don't remove.
Yeah.
If you have a Pedro right now, Joao Pedro, don't remove. But if you are planning to get them in, right? You
Hmm.
see what happens with Chelsea fixtures later than this. So Chelsea have Fulham after this, then Everton, and then Liverpool. Three really difficult fixtures. You'll have to again remove them. Same for Brighton. They have Brentford at home, Brentford in the next game week, West Ham and Newcastle. So between the three fixtures,
Yeah.
only West Ham are a little easier,
Yeah.
and then
Other.
again West Ham are
Yeah. Yes.
coming up. So the
For sure.
fixtures, you cannot think of them as like just this gaming, and quite likely like Chelsea are quite likely to score 2.55 or closer to 3 goals, but it's just going to be one fixture, and then you'll have to think about removing Palmer again, so or Palmer or anyone who you get again. So you make a
Yeah.
good point.
So yeah, and then similarly, the odds of getting one plus clean sheet. You have Newcastle, obviously they're at home, so they have the highest odds, and they have two fixtures: Brighton with Leicester at home, Chelsea, Ipswich at home, Arsenal. Arsenal is a difficult case right here just because of the UCL fixture congestion. And I can say the same about Villa also. Southampton at home, Southampton away is still, and knowing that Southampton are relegated, you can expect them to just go out with a bang. But honestly, they've been very poor throughout the season, so I don't expect much of a rebound from them. And especially after I think the manager has left the club also. So
Yeah,
it's just a gamble because you back your Arsenal assets, you back your Villa assets, but they end up being benched. So it just becomes a disappointment. So you would rather, especially since you wildcarded, you would rather just want your safe assets to play that game. So I think it's just one to watch, and hopefully the assets that you brought in your team with the thought process and with that little bit of luck involved, you do end up being on the right side of the points, total points.
perfect. Let's move to two
Hmm.
very quick segments of
Yeah,
if you are wildcarding, it's a very short segment, so we won't take too long.
yeah.
But if you are wildcarding, you can see that the template has always been has already been built, like Raya Ariola, Raya Martinez. If you are wildcarding now, obviously knowing that Villa are going to double in 33, take Martinez. Burn, Munoz, Guardiola, Saliba should be on your, if not Burn, Livramento if budget allows. Murphy, Eze, Saka, Salah, Rogers. Saka, obviously, if you see that he's played some minutes, he played again. He played Madrid yesterday. Might play
Hmm.
again next week. Rogers being the most nailed asset for Villa till now, and again, like Essen mentioned, keep your eyes open for Asensio, Rashford. Keep your eyes open, and then Mamouche, Isak, and Mateta sort of
Yeah.
self-select themselves. So you can see in this the main differentials here are Bradley, because Liverpool are going for a title. West Ham don't have that potent an attack. Uh, Definitely someone to target, and Rogers. So Rogers spot can be based on your budget. Rashford, Asensio as well. So
Yeah.
this is what something that I thought of.
No,
SN,
definitely.
any
Yeah.
thought process?
No, no. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and this is very important that you put because people would still. It's possible that they use their wild card just so that they want to attack gaming 32 33, and if they don't have free hit in 34, then maybe try to plan for that as well. So it's a pretty much template team with a few differentials, and Liverpool actually is an interesting one because and I think gaming 33 they play Leicester or Ipswich, one of the two, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah, they
So
do.
you would obviously want, if you are those who are
They play
using the
Leicester.
bench
Yes,
boost,
you're right.
yeah. So if you are using your bench boost in Gaming 33, and then you can obviously include both the fixtures of Bradley and Salah. So, and you can just try to make a differential captain in Salah also. I understand it's a single game week, but Salah against Leicester away, you saw
Yeah,
Leicester I think have not scored a home goal in their last 7 or 8 matches. So Salah captain against Leicester away is not a bad shout also, given that other teams are doubling. So I think it's pretty solid wild card and allows you to have some spare budget as well. I think.
that's true. And just a quick one on before we go to our the trademark on the
Yeah.
AM. I think Rob T has done a very good analysis here. Summary of if you read these stats, obviously the mean for um, Eddie Howe is 13.2. The mean for uh, Glasner is 12.5. You can see that in the AM points sheet on your right, where Eddie Howe is slated to score 13.5, 13.1, Glasner 12.5, and Fabian Herzler 8.5. So the way he's calculated that is that the odds of scoring 0 to 5 and up to upwards of 20 plus. So for both these managers, the summary from or of what you can sort of gauge, like if you were to do 10,000 simulations and like even if you were to do 100, this would be a typical number or the typical percentages. The summary from this, what you gain is, SN mentioned this previously. It's a safe versus risky pick. If
Yeah,
you
for
pick
sure.
Glasner, you can see that there is 21% odds that he can score 15 to 20 or even 21 or 20 plus points. So there is an upside to him. If there are
Yes.
34% odds for um, how to score 15 to 20 points, and then only 6% to 20 plus points. If you were to play just on risk, you would choose Glasner because you want the opportunity. If Glasner beats Newcastle, for example, just a random example, if he beats Newcastle in one of the game weeks, straight away you get double digit points. If they have like a clean sheet, you get 15 plus points. That's just crazy
Yeah, in just
upside,
one
right?
game. Exactly.
Yeah, in just one game,
Huge
exactly,
upside.
right? So same, like even if they draw against, City, the upside is extremely massive. So these things are something to consider. But with how, you know for a guarantee that they're much more likely to win, much more likely. So the 10 to 15 points is an expected range where he can reach. For Glasner, the highest odds you can see are 0 to 5 because he's predicted to lose both games. So this is just a basic understanding of
Yeah.
what is coming out. So yeah, and any thoughts? Yeah, please.
No, I think Puneet, you've done very well in adding this slide, which was basically which complements the early point of our burning question, whether to use your AM, because I think yeah, it's just the risk. It all depends on your risk appetite. How is a very safe pick. You know that they have both games at home. Their team is on form, so you can. It's like a set and forget aim for this game week. With Glasner, if you're chasing ranks in your mini leagues, then he's obviously the upside pick. And another positive with Glasner is that they double in game week 33 also. So if you choose him now, you can save a transfer in double game week 33, as opposed to those who
Point.
maybe already on how or choosing how now. They would obviously want to move to the likes of maybe Emery or Arteta or Guardiola or even Glasner. So they would have to use that free transfer, and we already discussed that how valuable your free transfers are right now. So I think it's a very interesting one to watch, and I think after the gaming has started, we'll probably get the updated number on how many chips activated, who is your assistant manager, etc. So I think it's one to watch for sure.
Correct. Yeah. So the wider range, I think that's what Essence mentioning. Well, the wider range of
Yeah,
outcomes are with Glasner. The safer or the more consistent range
yes,
is with Howe.
lies
So
with how.
take a call.
Yes,
But great point with the fact that you can save a transfer if you choose Glasner now.
exactly.
So
That just
take a
that's
call
very
based on
important.
team. And here we go, the most important segment or the or the fun segment that we like to enjoy.
Yeah,
And this is our trademark. Essen, please start with the FPL Liga
yeah.
Epic. So just to give our audience or viewers who are viewing us for the first time an
First
idea,
time.
this is the pick where we think that uh, these are the players who would do great in this game week and who are extreme differentials and people might not be looking at them as targets for now, but and we call them out. So yes, please, Essen, with that context.
Arslan's eagle eye, even though it's blank, he told us that his mind is too template right now. He thinks everyone
Yeah,
is a good pick, so he opted out of this one. I think my personal choice are Evan Nielsen and Barnes. You've seen that Evan Nielsen, he's back from injury. He's back amongst the goals. He's a focal point. With Clivert out, he becomes an increased focal point, and on penalties also. And even though they don't have any doubles right now, they might have it later. So you can try to get him in earlier. And obviously, if you want to maybe have Watkins for double gaming 33, and you want to move from Mateta or Mamouche to Watkins, then your third striker can easily become Emilson, because he's, I think, under 5.5 or 6 million. And similarly, Barnes becomes an easy pick also
5.7. Yeah,
because 5.7, yeah. So Barnes also becomes an easy pick because Gordon was not in the squad against the Leicester game, and I really doubt that even if he's fit, he starts both Newcastle's double gaming 32. So he also is going under the radar. So I think I'm backing both of them to do well. Evanescence is more long term. Barnes, maybe you can just switch to maybe someone else in Gaming 33, the likes of maybe a Villa asset if you want, or even the likes of Martinelli or Marino of Arsenal. So I think these two are one to watch.
Great point, Evan Nielsen. Also because Bournemouth, like we showed you earlier, are like could have a double game week later. So
Yeah,
just
exactly.
keep an
So
eye
a
on
little
that.
bit of the long term planning coming into play here.
Good thought. For me, it
And what
is
about you, Puneet? Yeah,
after looking at the team today, it is more Watkins. I think Watkins was because he's
for
not
sure. Yeah,
starting today. So I feel
yeah,
Southampton is like a plum fixture for them to target. Uh, and Burn. And Burn is because United are notoriously poor against defenders who score. And like if you have a good set piece and Burn gets on a lot of headers, he will score, and Palace as well. So two teams to target against headers and people who will score or assist during corners or set pieces. Hence Burn. So between a lot of people are going for Livramento or other Newcastle assets. So Burn hence against the teams that he's facing, like United and Palace, I think an asset to target.
yeah. One thing on Burn, uh, as
Sure.
you mentioned, the set pieces. Palace are without Gehi because he picked up a red card. Uh, their defenders Richards and Lacroix both are doubts for the game week. So they are probably they are without three of their uh, four or five major defenders because Munoz and Mitchell play as wing backs. So I think Burn becomes an even more prized asset, especially on set pieces. And again, Eze
Great
is
point.
on those set pieces, so a differential captain also. So this goes hand in hand.
Great point. Yeah. Great point, man. This is a terrific
Yeah.
call out and observation. Thank you for adding that valuable insight. And just so you know, I know people are talking about his 8 yellow cards, but there are two more game weeks. So by the time finishes game week, he has to get
Oh
two
yes.
yellows back to back. Only then is when he will be suspended. Uh, but unlikely. So let's see. Like it's not that
Yeah. Good
it's
point.
definitely going to happen, but unlikely that he gets two yellows back to back in 2 game weeks. If not,
Yeah.
only if that happens is when he gets. If not, he'll still the slate is
Yeah.
clean
Then
after
he'll
this.
be cleared till probably the end of the season. Yes, because I think 30,
Correct,
game week
exactly.
32 is the cutoff. Yes.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Now to our teams. Most it's pretty
Yeah.
similar for all of us. But yes, you could take us through SN the teams for us.
Yeah, as I think me and Arslan discussed, and both of us bench Saka because
Okay.
of Arsenal's progress in UCL. And we actually started him over a Spurs asset, and it did backfire because we were sure that Saka would start just to build up his minutes. So he's an easy benching decision because both of us were benching Mamouche for Saka, but I think Mamouche should easily play up ahead in place of Saka, and I have started Kivior, even though Arsalan has benched Kivior. But knowing that Konsa started today, I think Arsalan might just switch Kivior back into the starting lineup, or just I think he'll play Guardiola over Kivior. So and since we both wildcarded in 31, I think it's an easy role for us also, so that we have more transfers for maybe game week 33 because we would need a Villa asset there. As you can see, Palmer is probably a placeholder for me right now because you pointed out that Chelsea's fixtures do get a bit more difficult. So I think yeah, and he's a captain for both of us because we're trying to just sort of hold rank. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think you are currently on Isaac captain, but obviously a lot to think on. So I think you can just guide us better.
Yeah, like I think you've opened my mind to Murphy. I'll be honest. After this pod, so I might consider Murphy as a captain as in double game week. Like I said, I have Burn, and we all
Yeah,
three have Burn. In fact, I have Eze, who I'm actually keen about. I feel that Eze has a
yeah, yeah. Solid
good
pick. Solid
fixture
pick.
to target. Because Konza started today, so then hence I benched him. So after hearing that he started today, I'm surprised Arslan's benched Guardiol, and considering it's single game week versus like the fact that he has Konza and Kivior, so something to consider. If I don't have, or I have, like I've mentioned in the pod as well or the slide as well, that I do think there is an opportunity to go Gabriel to Munoz now, but I want to keep that third slot open, or maybe see, maybe do like a another attacker, or maybe I don't know. Like I don't know how you get in the midfield spot, but I need to get, because Munoz now again has become template, and I have to go constantly against the template to sort of gain good rank. Like for example, the reason I did well this game week, or I gained like 300, 400k rank, is only because I had like an even Nielsen or an Eze doing well for me, and they are
Yeah,
not
both of them
template
were
picks.
differentials. Yeah.
So that's why. Any recommendation on if I have to remove Gabriel, or is it only
I
Munoz the first?
I think if you do remove Gabriel, you and get Munoz, then you would probably have to bench Saliba. I think maybe because it's
That's
possible
correct.
that
Or Guardiola.
when yeah, or Guardiola. You because obviously you have double Palace, and it just feels weird that two players or even one player can wipe out your Guardiola clean sheet. So
Fair.
you could Gabriel's with if you sell Gabriel
It's a
to
fair
Munoz,
point.
you can play Munoz and you would have some funds left also. So I think yeah, you can do that. You can also roll your transfer if you feel the need and just play Saliba because I think that Saliba is probably the most nailed centre back or most nailed
Correct.
defensive asset. So he's not a priority, but it all depends. Because, for example, if Palace do keep one or two clean sheets, or even one, and Munoz gets an attacking return in the other, so that's easily 6 plus 4, 10 to 12 points that you will lose out on. And I know you want to go
It's a good
against
point.
template, but maybe by not having him, you would probably get a more big red arrow as opposed to having him and him not falling. So yeah, one to consider for
Fair.
sure.
Fair point, man. Thank you. That is a very, very insightful way of
Hmm.
looking, and maybe I might just do that based on that. And
Yes.
just to sort of confirm, I think Munoz is ownership right now, just before we end the pod, is,
Hmm.
yeah, his ownership is 23%. So yeah, I
Exactly.
think
So
not going against him would,
23%, yeah, would do more harm than good. So you can just
that's
have
fair
him
point.
because you can easily play him in Gaming 33 also.
Correct.
So
Correct. Makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Hassan. You have opened my mind to a lot of things, and
yeah,
I'm sure every one of our listeners is really helped by your thought process. And
for
yeah,
sure.
and that's it. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
that's our video. Hey, thank you so
everyone,
much,
for
Puneet,
joining.
for helping out with this. And hopefully, closer to the deadline, we'll try and discuss more, and we'll update our viewers on our Twitter page also of our last decisions and any other transfer that we're considering. So I think it's been a very insightful video. I know it's a bit lengthy, but all those points are very good talking points, which may be more emphasized on as your Europa Conference League and Champions League fixtures come to an end.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Hope you keep liking it, and see you soon.
Okay, thank you, everyone.